Located in northern Virginia, Fairfax County is among the most densely populated counties in the Old Dominion. But farming was once a significant way of life here.
We were, in the early 1900s, the top dairy producer in the Commonwealth, and we were also ranked in the top 3 orchard, apples, and peaches crops in the Commonwealth. And now today, speed up 120 plus years later, we are a very urban area, but we have a lot of consumers of agricultural products from the Commonwealth.
While the county has transformed into a thriving metropolis in its own right, there's still pockets of agriculture to be found if you're willing to look for them. Yes, Virginia, there still is some farmland in Fairfax County. The field behind me belongs to Potomac Vegetable Farm, just 4 miles north of the malls and office towers of Tyson's Corner. Hannah Newcomb is a second-generation farmer at Potomac Vegetable Farms. They grow everything from tomatoes to peppers, eggplants, green beans, and summer squash. They have another larger farm in neighboring Loudoun County and cultivate about 6.5 acres on their land in Fairfax. Her parents settled here in the 1960s when she was very young.
They were in their early 20s when my father decided that he wanted to actually follow through on his dreams about having a utopia. So he wanted an agrarian utopia, and the first thing you do is you have to learn to be a farmer. So that went okay. It took them apparently 5 years before they stopped losing money. But they started farming on rented ground in McLean, which is close to DC, and they grew sweet corn as their main crop because they thought everybody loves sweet corn, that's what we should grow. But it turns out sweet corn is really hard and hard to make money on. They learned that over time. And eventually over time, pretty quickly, they evolved into a retail operation instead of a wholesale operation. And they started to sell vegetables both to people who were selling at roadside stands and at our own roadside stand.
Their farming operation is now primarily a CSA, community-supported agriculture, where subscribers can purchase a set amount of produce. They also donate to food banks in the DC area. That spirit of service through agriculture is also found at Arcadia Farm near Mount Vernon. It was once known as Dogue Run Farm and actually was one of the farms George Washington owned as part of his Mount Vernon holdings. It's now known as Woodlawn, and the Arcadia program operates on it. The group caters to military veterans to help them transition to a career in agriculture.
In 2018, Arcadia launched the Veteran Farm Incubator for graduates of our program. So we know them, we know that they know how to farm because they've trained with us. And then we set up 1/8 of an acre plots where they could take over and just have it be their farm. They get to dictate what they're growing, although they agree to our growing practices. And they get to do whatever they want with what comes out of that. So some of them sell it, some of them donate it, some of them just consume it themselves. This is a chance for them to learn some real lessons about farm management without risking the family fortune. We want our farmers to know what they're doing before they plunk down $40,000 for a tractor or before they commit to 40 acres. What we don't want is somebody to come out and with so much enthusiasm bite off more than they can chew and start a farm that ends up, causing a lot of family strife and financial trouble. So we let them learn some hard lessons here. Hopefully they just have great success. But failure is a really good outcome for us because these farmers learn best from failure, and there's a soft place for them to land. We've got a tractor, we can plow it all up and plant some cover crop, and they can start again the next season.
Of course, no Fairfax County farmer is better known than George Washington. His Mount Vernon estate is still a working farm, growing many of the vegetables and other produce served at the Mount Vernon Inn.
You can't talk about George Washington without talking about agriculture. He developed the 7-year crop rotation, which is used currently today. He designed the threshing barn for threshing his oats and his wheat and his rye to use at the distillery. He had heritage breeds to provide meat and wool and cheeses, butter. So we need to show all of those things because that was part of what Washington was.
As of the 2017 Census of Agriculture, there are 117 farms in Fairfax County. The market value of all agricultural products is $1,250,000. $243,000. Crops make up the overwhelming majority of that, bringing in $1,011,000. Greenhouses and nurseries make up $542,000 of that, with vegetables accounting for $216,000. Fruits and nuts comprise $210,000. Livestock brought in $232,000, with cattle and calves bringing in about half at $107,000. Fairfax County may not have a large agricultural presence today, but county leaders over the years have tried to preserve the area's long agricultural heritage.
And that started in 1960, when we had most of the remaining farmland being bought up in this area to provide for Dulles International Airport. And it was actually the extension agent that first approached the Fairfax County Park Authority as well as Fairfax County Public Schools on preserving the original 4 buildings and acreage that today we call Frying Pan.
Preserving agriculture's heritage in a county transformed by explosive growth. Fairfax County's remaining farms are providing much-needed agricultural products for their community and their neighbors, just like farmers in every other part of Virginia. In Fairfax County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.